Hey, it's October 12th. It's James with the Colonial Broadcast. I want to talk to you about why I'm pro-Trump and never Hillary. When we look at the history of this country, never have we become so big in government and so small in manufacturing and business. Currently, we face a shortage of everything that we need that makes this country great. But what we have a surplus of is government. There are government jobs everywhere you look. And that's not how it was, and that's not what it was meant to be. And it's not going to work. It will debunk itself, because it's going to fail. You look at the history of the country, and we rebelled against the British, and what do? We set up a federal government to maintain the borders and to fight off invading forces. What do we have now? We have a government that gets involved in everything. We have a government that has been reaching down to the pockets of the citizen for taxation, when all that they started out to do was tax the states. We have a government that has a social security system that doesn't work. And when Congress needs something, they simply pull it from the social security system. Money's always going to be there. They're always going to force you and enslave you to pay into it. So why not just keep taking out of it? You're not fighting back. You're not in the chambers of Congress. So who are you? You're a welder. You're a clerk at some restaurant. You're a store manager. You're a garbage waste disposal man. You're a firefighter, policeman. You will never see the halls of Congress. They don't care about you. And this is why we're seeing what we're seeing these days in the news. When we see Speaker of the House, Paul Ryan, pretty much set Trump up for failure, because that's what happened. He set him up for failure. He released that tape. He knew it was on there and released that tape. Now, that's not to say what Trump did was right. But think about how much of a coordinated attack that was. Because he's very comfy in his seat. And he knows when Trump takes office, it's over. You have John McCain. Dear God, John McCain's been there since, I don't know, at least 90, right? Congress was not meant to be a career. You are meant to serve your time, serve your people, and get the hell out. But yet we have career politicians running our country. They're so out of touch with what it means to be American that they sit there and shit on the average American. So when we have Donald Trump coming in and everyone telling you that you need to vote against him, that's when you know you need to vote for him. When you have the United Nations trying to tweet that we need to vote Hillary and not Donald, that's when you need to vote Trump. Bottom line, never in history have we had an outside entity come into our election in such a manner. Just blatant attack. And who are they? Who are they? The UN. The UN that doesn't do anything. They sure as hell didn't help us out in any of our fights. What, you get 1,000 people here, 1,000 people there? Meanwhile, thousands of US troops are dying? Come on. Who are you going to take orders from? Are you going to take orders from the establishment that has globalized himself? Or are you going to take orders from yourself? Are you going to reassert the Constitution on the United States? So what are we facing here, folks? We got Hillary Clinton, who wants to keep the status quo. She wants to keep the same thing that Obama's done, except now feed it a little bit of crack. If you like immigration, oh, she's going to immigrate. She's going to bring tons of Syrian refugees into this country. And look, folks, I'm not going to be the guy that's going to sit there and tell you that they're Islamic terrorists. But there are some. There are some. That's ISIS' key playing field. That's refugees. They've told us they're going to implant terrorists into the refugees that come here. They've told us that. And yet we're going to be so blatantly stupid to continue bringing them in under this vetting process that it's known to not work. It's not working now. That's why we have what we saw in New Jersey, in New York. That's why we have the stabbings at the mall. Because it's not working. And we as Americans have lost our nationalized approach to the world. We've started taking a knee and thinking it's okay to dishonor ourselves and our country. I look around, I don't see color. But that's what we brought politics down to. If you're a Republican, you must be racist. You must be a racist. You must be a misogynist. You must be all these things because you're a Republican. If you support Donald Trump, you must be this and that and this and that. No. Don't be that stupid. Don't be that blatantly ignorant to think that just because you have an ideology that differs from someone else, that you must be the bad guy? Come on, folks. We can't be that stupid, can we? And you got people telling us that, oh, no, we're going to tell you which bathroom to get in. This is a federal thing. Why? Why can't you let the states make the decision? Why is the government getting in our shit? We have state congressmen who work for us. We have a state senate. Why can't the states run their own business? Are you saying the states are incapable of running it? Then why do we have 50 governors? Why do we have 50 assemblies? Why? If the government can do it all, then please, government, do it all. Take away our rights. If that's what it takes to show that this is how the humanity needs to be, then please, go ahead, remove each border of the state. You're not going to have Texas, you're not going to have Louisiana, you're not going to have Oklahoma anymore. Just call it the United States of America. But no, you have an entire franchise of politicians that are career. That's wrong. That is absolutely absurd. So again, folks, you have Hillary Clinton. She wants to keep what's there. And she knows these people. She's been in bed with them for 30 years. How do you think she did what she did? How do you think she was able to escape justice when she clearly violated the letter of the law? It's because she knows folks, and she knows the dirt on them. So what does that mean? When you have a government where you have the executive and the judicial and the legislative, the legislative cannot go against the executive if they're in bed together. It can't happen. That makes Congress non-functioning. So, if Hillary gets elected president, Congress no longer has any authority because she knows the dirt on all these people, and they all have dirt. There's no congressman that is innocent by any means. But if Donald Trump gets elected president, we know, we've seen the fallout that the majority of Republicans, at least half, are kind of iffy about him. And at least 26% have dissented from his campaign. So what does that mean? If he gets elected president, they will hold him in check. And what else does that mean? If they try to enact legislation, he can veto it. He can veto it. He can veto it from hell. And that's what needs to happen. Because what we've seen instead is collusion between the legislative and executive branch. And no, it's not working together. It's not working together. We weren't meant to have a universal healthcare system that rapes the citizen. Unless you're Bill Clinton. Folks, think about it. We have an entire system that's rigged. It is. From the peon to the super genius, you can see that it's rigged. There's no disguising it these days. If you could have Loretta Lynch meeting Bill Clinton on a tarmac, you know that it's rigged. You got the director of the FBI saying, oh, if anyone else does this, they would go to jail. But if your last name's Clinton, you're getting off. You know it's rigged. We all sat there in shock and awe. And now we see emails coming out from WikiLeaks telling us that there was collusion between the Department of Justice, and the Hillary campaign. So they knew what was coming down. They knew what was going to happen. More importantly, let's look at how the system has brought her up. They've raised her. Back in 2008, they told her, no, let Obama take office. Let's go ahead and get this in. This is the Democratic way. And we're going to give you a big seat. Don't worry. We're going to make sure you stay on the payroll. She should have lost and went about her little crap life. But instead, she served as Secretary of State. How does that even make sense? So now here we are in 2016 after Obama served his 8 years as president. And he can't run anymore. That's the only reason they're not propping him up. They would if they could. Because he has enacted globalization to hell. Instead, now we got Hillary, who's bought off on these same policies. And what they're telling us is that no matter what happens, she will be president. You don't have a choice. That's what's being told to us. Bernie Sanders figured that out firsthand, didn't he? We saw the WikiLeaks that told us at the DNC that he was not going to be the nominee. And this was early in the game. Now we see more stuff that proves there's collusion between the media and the campaign of Hillary. That she had the questions while he didn't. So it's not that she's sitting there thinking off the cuff on how to answer this stuff and answering your questions as citizens why you should vote for her. She can sit there and hire outside PR firms to figure out what's the best answer to get your vote. Meanwhile, she's going back to Goldman Sachs and she's going back to Wall Street and telling them, no. I got one policy that I'm going to put in public, but the policies that are going to go into effect are going to support you, Wall Street, you, Goldman Sachs. She is the devil. She is the devil in the flesh. There's not even a cell that can hold this woman. Trump brings a change. I don't give a shit about what he said on the tape. Because you know what? At least I know the Justice Department hates his ass enough that if he actually raped a woman, they would do something about it. They wouldn't cover it up, scheme, and plot like they have with the Clintons. I don't give a fuck what you say. I care what you do. Trump has identified policies. He's identified a tax plan that actually works. He's actually gone over each part of his tax plan that could help the average American citizen. Now the left's going to tell you, oh, but it saves money for big guys. Yes, but it saves money for little guys. What it does is it forces the government to work with less, and that's what they need to do. The government has a lot of fat that it needs to trim. And what they're doing is they're trimming it from the military instead of trimming it from the civil servant. They need to trim fat from Congress before they start pulling from the military. That's bottom line. Congressmen, they're not picking up a rifle. They're not defending you. When we look at what's happening right now, we need to evaluate when all the media is coming together telling you to think one way, which way you should think. You have to really identify media steering, because that's what this is. You know, I remember in the first debate, Hillary said something to the effect of, experts agree that it would cost us $5 trillion to enact Trump's tax plan. Well, those experts, a plural word, is actually singular. And it's a professor at New York University who used to do taxes for a Democratic representative. Do you not see a bias there? Maybe a little bit of collusion? Trump's tax plan does work. I actually saw a genius, a freaking professional, and a professor on Fox News this morning identifying that this is a saving from hell. This is savings on crack. This is going to save the average American worker and the average American business money. It's going to reduce legislation around those businesses to actually prosper. What's wrong with that? They can stop paying massive taxes to massive regulations that really don't apply to them and start hiring an extra worker or two. You know, Trump plans to impose tariffs. What's wrong with that? Why? Why is everyone opposed to freaking tariffs? If we impose tariffs, that forces companies to want to stay here, so they don't have to pay a tax to bring their stuff back in here. What is wrong with that? Why must we lose Ford to some foreign country? Because they know damn well they're not going to pay a tariff coming in here, and when they're manufactured over there, they don't have to pay a tariff there either. So they're making money, and the only person benefiting is the stockholder. Not you, the American citizen. You lose a job, and we lose money. So, if you think jobs are growing here, you're mistaken. And the only growth that we've seen has been at the state level. So when President Obama sits there and toots his horn talking about he's done this and this and this, he hasn't done jack. This has been the work of hard representatives at the state level, the governor, and a bit of luck on the employers themselves. This has not been President Obama working his butt off. He's been out golfing, he's been out campaigning. We can't even get him to come to a hurricane-affected area. He'd rather campaign with Hillary Clinton. Let's talk about healthcare. Hillary Clinton wants to fix what's broken, she says. Let's keep all the good things that work. Let's fix all the bad things that don't. Well, then why hasn't President Obama done this? Is he not a capable man? I mean, he's the highest statesman in the country. Can he not do this himself? And you, being his Secretary of State, you're a high-level advisor to him. Can you not advise him of these things? Say, hey, I think if we do this, it might work. Run the bill through Congress, make the amendment, and make it happen. The truth is, it's broken. It cannot be fixed. It can't be. Otherwise, she would have identified that in the second debate exactly how she would fix it. She doesn't know how to fix it. No one knows how to fix it. Because what you've done is you've told all of these companies, all these insurance agencies, that they own these people in this area. So what does that do? Well, shit. If I own you, why the hell would I sit there and give you a good rate? What they've done, what the Democrats have done, is brought us back into some sort of slave caste system. We don't control our own bodies. They do. So why? Why should we believe Hillary Clinton? Now, on the opposing side, Donald Trump wants to just toss it out the window and start over. I do think that is the best approach. I do. If you remember those words in Congress, we have to sign it before we'll know what's in it. No one really knows what the hell's in this healthcare program. But if we start fresh, we can have a fresh approach and try to fix this. Donald Trump wants to remove the lines, these magical lines around each area, where each insurance company owns it. And they should. It builds up competition. Why shouldn't Blue Cross Blue Shield have to compete with mail handlers or Aetna? Why? Why shouldn't they have to compete? Who are we working for here? The American citizen or the American corporation? Remember, corporations don't work for you, they work for stockholders. So why should we buy into what Hillary Clinton's saying as opposed to what Donald Trump's saying? Now, I think it's very interesting that we are buying into what Hillary says. I think it's very interesting that the media is telling us to buy it, that Trump must be a mean man. Trump is crass, but everything he's saying is right on point. So let's go to immigration. I don't want to hear all this trash talk about Muslim extremists. Yes, we know. We, as American citizens, know that we have a dark past. We're not stupid. And to those of you that think that you're smarter, that you know better, please, let's come to the table. Let's argue this out. I've read enough history books. I think I can stand my ground. So let's talk about the history of this nation. We know the dark past we have. We're looking to the future. And the future is not globalization. It's to work on us. We've been globalizing. We've been paying the Saudis. We've been paying the Iranians. It's not working. But now she wants to immigrate people and bring them over here. I'm all for helping refugees. But what about the homeless person on the street? What about the veteran that can't pay his bills? What about the little children who have no parents and are stuck in a system? You know, we got Syrian refugees right now that make more money off the government than veterans with medals of honor. How does that make sense? How does that make sense? But this is what's happening. Now, we will see a clash of cultures. It's destined to happen. We're already seeing it. That's what New York was. That's what New Jersey was. It's exactly what the mall was. The mall was not a conspiracy. That was simply, I'm pissed, I'm grabbing a knife, I'm going to do exactly what the Palestinians are doing to the Israels. So, that is not necessarily terrorism. That is a clash of ideologies. That is a clash of upbringing. But we can look and we can see active legislation trying to bring different rules into our country. A lot of y'all don't know what Sharia is. Sharia is simply law in Muslim. That's all it is. It's the Muslim's law. But in that law has a lot of stuff that we don't agree with. Now, if you're a chauvinist, then yeah, this is yours. The woman has to walk behind you in the street. She has to open the door to make sure it's not, freaking lined with bombs. You get to beat her on certain days. You get to kill her if she sleeps around on you. This is the absolute shit if you're a chauvinist. Oh, you can have multiple wives, you can sleep around, and the government has no control over this legislation if it gets passed. Do you not think this will come up again and again and again until it does pass? This is how government works. It's not a democracy. You keep enacting legislation until something passes. That's what they do. It's what's happened in the European Union. It's what's happening here. Why do you think Britain wanted to exit? Why? Why do you think Britain really wants to get the hell away from immigration? Do you think it's all about jobs? You don't think they're getting their own set of riots, their own set of clash of cultures over there? That's what this is. It's culture clash. They're experiencing it firsthand. And we're so naive over here to think that we're somehow going to make it work when we are way more conservative than they are. We haven't had to deal with a caliphate. These people were right next door to a caliphate, the Ottoman Empire, and they worked with them until the Ottoman Empire joined Germany in World War I and fell apart. Now, one thing that truly worries me is that we have a slot open on the Supreme Court. And we lost Scalia. He was pro-Second Amendment. We have a good system right now. We really do. Usually, stuff goes up, and we get a good, leveled-headed decision at the Supreme Court. Depending on who takes that seat, we're going to lose that. And that means that we could lose our ability to have a proper Second Amendment. They will amend that shit to high heaven. They will pass legislation, and then they will go ahead and test it in court. And we will lose our ability to carry. Your right to bear arms will go away. This is what Hillary's been opting for. She's never been pro-Second Amendment. And she never will be. Because pro-Second Amendment is anti-government. The Second Amendment was built, it was drafted, and it was approved to always secure the people from tyranny. Well, folks, it's kind of hard to fight against a tyrannical government without a gun, isn't it? Let's see what they got. They got guns. They got drones. They got nukes. They got Scud missiles. They got Patriot missiles. They got jets, they got carriers, they got all kinds of naval ships. What do we got? They take away the Second Amendment, you get a kitchen knife. That's what you got. We will always see people coming into a school to kill little children. I got a little child myself. I have the same fears that everyone else does. But you can't blame the ability to carry on the actions of someone that's psychotic. Because although it's much less pushed by the media, there are people stabbing other people in school. I remember in school I saw someone get stabbed by a steak knife. You're going to ban steak knives? We're going to stick to butter knives because those penetrate just as easily. Oftentimes they're longer than a steak knife too. So what extent are we going to be stupid and say we have to ban this and have to ban that and have to ban that before we figure out that we have a problem in our upbringing? Before we figure out that parents need to parent at home and stop having their kids retaliate against others. If two kids want to beat the shit out of each other until they're black and blue, I have no problem. They'll wake up the next morning, their differences are settled, shake hands, be done with it. But when you're so angry that you have to get a gun, get a knife, and go kill people at school that don't agree with your upbringing, well, you need to change your upbringing. That's the bottom line. That's the bottom line. There's no evidence to suggest that banning a gun is going to do anything except take the gun away from the person that actually obeys the law and leave them defenseless against the person that doesn't obey the law. I'm sorry, was Kim Kardashian held by knife point? No, that's not right. Can't be. Folks, we're in an election that's going to decide everything. It will decide the fate of America for a long, long time. And if the Democrats keep pushing this rhetoric of Russia did this and Russia did that, Russia's going to say fuck you and retaliate. You know, I don't have respect for Russia or Putin, but I have respect for their citizens. And they're getting mighty tired of always being blamed for the stuff that Democrats are doing. The Democrats don't know who hacked their systems. Hell, they were saying all these systems were good, that no one could hack them. Isn't that what got Hillary off? Well, apparently not. Apparently they're crappy at securing their servers. That's why John Podesta got his stuff hacked. Because he's a crappy person, and he's crappy at securing his systems. Not because anything was manipulated, he's just a crappy person. Hillary Clinton is a crappy person. And she has crappy policies. So please, get off the high horse of, well, Trump did this and Trump did that. Look at his policies. His policies save you money. They save me money. They keep our way of life. They should employ many, many, many thousands of people. Everything the Democrats have done has not done that. And instead they've chose to manipulate how the tracking is done on jobs to make it seem like they're doing better than they really are. So folks, I'll leave you with this. If you love our country, you should not vote Hillary. I respect your right to vote Stein. I respect your right to vote Johnson. You should not vote Hillary. She is not pro-American. Trump, with his faults, is pro-American. You can look at different videos that he's had at different parts in his life, and he's always said he disagrees with the way this nation's going. He always disagrees with the way the government is overarching above us and taking more and more away from us. He's anti-war. He always has been anti-war, despite allegations that say different. He really didn't agree with going to war when he was on a show with Cavuto. And that was a month before we went to war. So these allegations that people say that he's pro-war, pro-Iraq, no, they're false. Absolutely false. heard him say it twice. Twice before going to war, that he thinks that we should work on our economy. I heard him say it after we went to war. We need to get the hell out of there and work on our economy. He wants to work on our economy. That is the bottom line. Other than that, please cast your ballot. This is your right. You're a citizen. You're not a real citizen, in my eyes, if you're not researching your candidates and casting the ballot and taking control of your government. That's what a citizen's for. So I wish you luck. Have good luck, Shabab.